Pastor Jarrett here with another book review. This one is Sacred Parenting by Gary Thomas. Again, this is real exciting. I really enjoyed this book by Gary Thomas. Uh, it is a book that basically is about, similar to Sacred Marriage, uh, Sacred Parenting is about how raising your kids can help shape your soul, how uh, parenting, God uses parenting to make you more holy, to make you more like Christ, and parenting can do that, and to see parenting from a different perspective. Now, one of the things I love about Gary Thomas, here he is. He was one of the adjunct teachers at Western Seminary, where I went to school. You can see my diploma right over there, and so that's always exciting for me. But just kind of give you some information. Gary Thomas is a writer and resident and a member of teaching team at Second Baptist Church in Houston, Texas, and the author of 8 books, including the best-selling Sacred Marriage that have sold more than 1 million copies worldwide and have been translated in a dozen languages. He and his wife Lisa have been married for more than 30 years, and you can find more information at his website. Uh, and like I said, he was one of the teachers at Western Seminary where I went to school. I did one of the online classes with him. And so it's really neat when I run into another Western Seminary grad uh, and a teacher, I should say. Uh, and it's a great book, and he's a great teacher. One of the things that he uses a lot of good illustration to help us understand that parenting it really helps grow and develop you as a believer. I love the story he gives about a lot of us think Christianity, if I could just be like one of these monks, or if I could just focus on God and read the Bible all the time and just be praying all the time, that would be the ultimate spiritual experience. If I could have prayer retreats all the time, or, just be at church 24/7, then I would be more godly, then I'd be more holy. And what he says the real challenge is not when you're at church. At church and at a retreat, it's very easy to be godly. It's very easy to be spiritual. It's very easy to do the Christian thing. It isn't until you're in the trenches of life that God really grows you and transforms you. And in parenting, uh, that that is the one of the areas that God grows us the most. He tells stories that I remember he tells stories about how his son would copy everything he would do, and so where he would leave his shoe, where Gary would leave his shoes, his son would leave his shoe, and when Gary would, you know, every once in a while you're working on stuff. Sometimes you get phlegm or stuff in your mouth, and you spit, and so his son would spit, or he would play playing tennis, and he'd take off his shirt because it's getting hot playing tennis, and so his son took his shirt off while he was playing tennis, and his son would copy everything he's do, and that's important for us as fathers and parents to remember that our kids are looking to us as such an example. And if that's the case, it forces us to grow because we think, oh my goodness, my son and daughter are copying me. Boy, I need to set a better standard. I need to grow in the Lord and be more like Christ so I can be a better example to my kids. And he talks about a lot about the challenges of parenting. I read another story that he mentions in the book is he's talking about how he and my wife are visiting, and the last thing they at a church, and the last thing they want to have happen at a church is for their young child to have a poopy diaper and smelling things up and just making things difficult. I told her, like, I can't name how many times me and my wife have been at church, and where me and my wife are trying to talk to people at church, trying to meet new people, trying to have good conversation, encouraging conversation. And the last thing Joshua wants to do is to help us do that. Last thing he wants to do is run across the church and run through the sanctuary, get in trouble. And I mean, it really tests our patience and our love. And parenting really challenges you and grows you in a way that you could do without kids. And so I think that one of the best things, two things that every Christian should do is you should get married because that's going to help you grow, and you should have kids because that's going to help you grow more. And I really do think that if you want to grow more spiritually, have your own kids, and it is going to grow you in ways that you didn't know. So the book is divided up into 13 chapters. Papa God and how God sees us, the hardest of hurts of all, gold behind the guilt, sees in heaven, joy, victorious, vulnerability, burning love, the glory behind the grind, walking on the wild side of parenting, the gift extremely demanding children, and very boring chapter in the Bible that can change your life forever. Xerox are us, sacrifice and leaving. And he just one of the things I love about Gary Thomas, and this is true with his class too. He's a very much a storyteller. So if you like stories that you can relate to, and especially stories as parents as you relate to, this is excellent. I mean, I every once in a while be reading the book and say, "Honey, you gotta listen to it," and I read it. It's just like, oh my goodness, I I we've been there. That's happened. We've seen that, and he tells a lot of good stories that you could relate as a parent. But at the same time, it will help you grow as a parent and grow in godliness. And so I highly recommend this book. Now, if you want to, he also has the DVD and a workbook that you can do for a small group, which would be excellent. Um, but I always like reading the book. But if you read the book and you did this, man, it just give you some really feet to grow on. I highly recommend it, especially if you're a new parent or you've been a parent for a while, and especially even if as grandparents, because there's something that you can do to help your grandkids that you still can work. You as a grandparent, you can still grow as a grandparent, and you can help your kids, and so it's still something really good. I highly recommend Sacred Parenting by Gary Thomas. He also has devotionals, which is always good. But I really like this book. I highly recommend you get Gary Thomas' Sacred Parenting book. God bless you and have a great day.